If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Welcome back. I'm pleased to be joined with a real New York legend. You know, I've worked with a lot of public officials over the years, some really legendary ones. But Ray Kelly is at the top of the list. I worked with him in the Clinton administration when he was at the Department of Treasury. He was in charge of enforcement. So he did a lot of work with Customs. He did a lot of work with the Secret Service. And then he had two different tours of duty as commissioner for the NYPD under two different mayors, which is really extraordinary. He served as commissioner of the NYPD under Mayor David Dinkins and then again under Mayor Mike Bloomberg, total of about 13 years. No one knows New York City and the NYPD like Ray Kelly. And Ray, thank you. We're honored to be with you.
Thank you so much, Governor, for having me.
No, my pleasure, Ray. Ray, you heard what I was talking about with the mayor's plan. Stop rolling back Mayor Adams' increase of the 5,000. Keep it. Don't hire anyone new. He leaves out the fact that we're losing about 3,000 per year. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you point out the big problem, and that is that they can't recruit. And great difficulty in recruiting, keeping the department up to any number. There is a hemorrhaging of police officers leaving the NYPD. Now, I'm not certain if that has continued with the new administration, because it takes a while to file the papers and use up terminal leave, that sort of thing. So it's going to take some time to see what the impact of the new administration is on police officers. But generally speaking, they don't seem to be happy. And, we're going to see the aftermath of whatever this mayor does. Now, he also talked about setting up a Department of Community Safety. And to fund that, he wants to take $600 million. Again, the NYPD has a big budget, $600 million from the NYPD to fund this community safety department. He wants it to be worth $1 billion at least. Now, we know that this notion of having mental health workers work with people who need help on the street and sort of either eliminate or cut back drastically the involvement of the police. Now, I was involved in this type of work when I was in Emergency Service Division as a captain 2 years ago. This notion was put in place in Brooklyn, for the most part, the Kings County Hospital. The mental health workers simply did not want to go on these assignments. They're dangerous. These people are very dangerous. And they can turn on a dime. So it's just not realistic. And it hasn't really worked anywhere. Yet they keep quoting that it works in some place in Oregon, and it's just not a realistic proposal. But of course, they don't know anything. They simply throw these things out without any sort of testing or tapping into experts. They are just going to try to do this, and it's a big mistake among many others.
Yeah. Look, Ray, they don't know the answers. They don't even know the questions. And really, they don't know government, but they don't care about government. This is all politics. This is all symbolism. It's all words. It's all rhetoric. And it's one thing for a legislator, all due respect to legislators, but AOC can run around, Bernie Sanders can run around yelling about oligarchs and whatever they want to yell about. When you are an executive, you're a mayor, you're a governor, you actually have to get something done. And setting the right policy matters. And this policy of, well, we should be sending mental health workers out to the homeless. I mean, I was HUD secretary in charge of the homeless. I worked in every state. We were talking about that 40 years ago. I get the concept, but you are so right. Mental health workers, they wouldn't know what they are doing if they were to approach some of these people alone. Because if some of the mentally ill people who are in the subway system, et cetera, they can have a hair trigger. And they can become very dangerous very quickly. So, yes, it's a nice idea. We don't need police. People just need understanding and a social worker. But it's just not reality in New York City. And you're right. He's defunding the NYPD, which he is doing. And he is dismantling, because there will be fewer police officers because of attrition. So he is doing what he said, dismantling and defunding, and he is setting up this mental health organization. But I also think, Ray, not only does that not work, I remember when the NYPD turned their back on Bill de Blasio at a funeral. You remember that? Because they just felt that he didn't have their back, so they literally turned their back on him at a funeral. But what does this force say when they know this mayor has disdain for them? You're racist, you're evil, you're wicked, you're corrupt, you should be defunded. I mean, recruit, who would want to go to work with this man?
Oh, we're going to see. You're absolutely right. It's as far as we can see now, the unions are not a fan of the new mayor. They may change. It depends on what they get on the table. They're certainly open to negotiation, as the unions, to make some sort of deal that make the police officers less unhappy. So we'll have to see, but it's right now the relationship, I think, is pretty tenuous.
Ray, what happens if we start to lose 3,000 police officers a year? You're at 34 now. What if you lose 3,000, 3,000, and 3,000?
We have to figure out some way of satisfying whatever these grievances are. I've recommended that a consulting firm, not a police consulting firm, but an outside consulting firm, do the exit interviews of police officers. The reason that it shouldn't be a police consulting firm is we want the cops to be honest. Why are you leaving? We have not done that. We don't know that with any certainty as to why they're leaving in the great numbers. But I can tell you, NYPD veterans and people who have even less than 5 years on the job are actually filling spots on police departments throughout, certainly the Eastern Seaboard, and certainly in Florida. There's a lot of NYPD trained police officers in the jurisdictions, and certainly, as I say, in the East Coast, but in the West Coast as well. So we don't know the answer, but that's my proposal, is get some honest answers from cops who have decided to leave. And let's have a realistic approach to the problem.
Yeah. You know, my fear, Ray, is if we can't recruit, and we know we have recruiting problems, you have 4,000 eligible to retire, you start to lose police. You put it together with the tone that this mayor has set, where he's basically anti-police. You see the crime rate go up. That could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I think you'll see New Yorkers, anyone who can, will think seriously about leaving.
Yeah. I know people myself who have left for warmer climes, and they like today. But, you have to be sensitive to that. Mayor Adams basically said he didn't care. He didn't care who was leaving the city. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. That type of, reassurance just is not going to work, particularly if you say if the crime starts to go up.
Yeah, it's not okay. And it's not okay if the rich leave. Well, it's because you love rich people. First of all, when did rich people become the demon? But rich people have to stay because they pay like 95% of the taxes. They leave, we go bankrupt. So look, Ray, no one has done more for the city, loves the city more than you do. Same with me and, my legacy. So let's pray for the best and let's do everything we can to give the best advice we can. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Great to be with you, Governor. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ray. God bless.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.